Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So could we possibly be looking at the first raise, not increase, but raise for all Social Security beneficiaries in 50 years? We're going to be going over what one lawmaker is saying about that and why his bill would do just that. So we will be covering that in today's video. Plus, a new poll suggests that either Biden or Trump could actually end up winning in a landslide. We're going to be going over which person that is. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm. And also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Plus, if you would like to receive up to $200 in free stock or $200 in free cash, in a pinned comment below, I will be leaving a link to Robinhood. All you have to do is once you click on that link is just sign up for a free account and then simply link your bank account. You do not even have to make an opening deposit. Once you do so, Robinhood will be sending you one free stock worth all the way up to $200. And if you'd rather just have the cash, all you have to do is once you receive the free stock, it's just sell for what it's worth and then transfer the cash value right back to your bank account. Okay, so diving right into our first story of today's video. And could we possibly be looking at the first raise, not increase, but raise in 50 years for all Social Security beneficiaries? So first off, we're going to be talking about the differences between an increase and a raise. And while we have been receiving increases pretty much every year over the past, 4 decades or so since we've been able to receive the cost of living adjustment, we actually haven't seen a raise in 40 years. So basically, whenever you receive an increase for Social Security, you might be receiving a monthly check of, let's say, like $1,500. And because of the cost of living adjustment, you might be receiving an increase of like $30 where you receive $1,530 in the next year because of inflation, because of the cost of living adjustment that you're given. So that's just an increase. You're receiving more money, but you're not actually coming out ahead in the next year. It's not actually a raise because all you're doing is just you're receiving a little bit more money to offset all the inflation that takes place. So even though you might be receiving $30 more per month in the next year, that $30 isn't actually going any further because you're paying, let's say like 5 more cents for eggs, you're paying like 60 more cents per pound for meat, you're paying more for gas, everything like that. So it's not exactly a raise. You're not coming out further ahead. You're receiving more, you're receiving a little bit more in dollar value, but it's not exactly going further. And a lot of us have experienced that, even though we've been receiving 8.7%, 5.9%, and close to 4% over the past few years as far as the Social Security increases have been. We haven't really, come out ahead. And if anything, we've really, I don't think the cost of living adjustments have really kept up with inflation. Now, a raise, on the other hand, would be like just increasing the checks on top of the cost of living adjustment. So it might be like a $200 raise where you might be receiving $1,500 per month now, and then automatically you'd be receiving $1,700 per month. So with that, you would actually be receiving a raise in your check. You would actually be coming out ahead, as opposed to right now with the cost of living adjustments, you're pretty much just trying to keep up with inflation, even though it really isn't. But we do have one lawmaker in Washington actually trying to do something about that. He has a bill called the Social Security 2100 Act. Here is John Larson explaining why we need to put this bill on the floor for a vote and why this would be the first raise for all Social Security beneficiaries in 50 years. Watch.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to address a pertinent issue for all Americans, that being Social Security. Mr. Speaker, as you know, it's been more than 50 plus years since Congress, the only body that can, has taken action to enhance Social Security. What becomes even more confounding, Mr. Speaker, is that with 10,000 baby boomers a day becoming eligible for Social Security, Congress has not acted to enhance this program. I was talking to my good friend Jody Arrington the other day and reminding him that In his district in Texas, for example, he has 128,000 Social Security recipients and 90,000 retirees, 9,000 children, almost 10,000 widows, 4,679 spouses, and 14,000 plus disabled workers. They haven't received a benefit enhancement in more than 50 years. And Social Security has nothing to do with the debt or deficit. It's an earned benefit. It's fully paid for. And the increases that we're calling for, well, the president said it best. We're going to pay for those by lifting the cap on 400,000. You could have people in the audience, for example, raise their hand if they're making more than 400,000. I doubt that you would find any. It's about 0.6%, but most people are astounded to learn that there's a cap and they haven't paid anything into the system, a system that all Americans pay into. For example, Mr. Speaker, in Tennessee, you have in the Tennessee's 8th District, 189,000 of your citizens receive Social Security benefits. 136,000 of them are retirees, 25,000 disabled people, 4,000 spouses, and the list goes on. And here's the most important thing. Your district gets $330 million monthly that goes into your district. Now, I say this to my colleagues and good friends on the other side of the aisle who are always talking about economic development. What better economic development tool is there than for your citizens to get a payment? Nobody gets wealthy on Social Security. They haven't had an increase in more than 50 years, and this money would go right back into your district and be spent at the local grocery store, at the pharmacy, at the dry cleaners, to pay for rent or a mortgage or put gas in your automobile. The money all comes back, and Congress hasn't acted in over 50 years. Mr. Arrington says, at least he says this about Social Security 2100, the bill that we have put forward that enhances benefits across the board by 2%, that repeals WEP and GPO. You realize, Mr. Speaker, that there are more than 23 million Americans who pay taxes on their Social Security. You guys are quick to make sure that there's tax relief for billionaires. How about people who are actually working for a living and then have to pay double taxation on their Social Security? 23 million Americans. There are 5 million Americans who get below poverty level checks from the federal government, from Social Security, even though they've paid in all their quarters. Why? Because Congress hasn't taken action. The only body that can. The president can't do this through executive order. The Supreme Court isn't going to act. We need to act on a bill. And as Representative Arrington says, well, I don't agree with Larson's bill. I said, well, what don't you agree with? If you got a better idea, put it forward. At least he's honest enough to say, yeah, we don't have a plan. We haven't written anything down on paper. The American people not only need a plan, what they need is help and relief in this time of global inflation. In this time that's coming forward, it's long overdue for Congress to act. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Now, obviously the divide here between Republicans and Democrats is that Republicans are firmly against raising taxes on Americans, even those Americans earning above $400,000 per year, which is exactly what this bill would do. So basically, there's something called the FICA payroll tax. So if you're an employee, you're going to be paying 6.2% out of your paycheck, and then your employer matches the other 6.2%. So in total, that's 12.4% that goes into the Social Security Trust Fund. Now, you only pay that amount on the first like $170,000 or so out of your paycheck that you earn. So anything above like $170,000 per year will no longer be taxed and goes into Social Security. So those earning, let's say, like $20 million per year, they're only paying the Social Security FICA tax on the first, again, like $168,000 or something like that they earn. John Larson and Democrats want to make it so those earning above $400,000 per year once again have to pay into the Social Security Trust Fund. That way there's enough revenue coming in to increase Social Security benefits across the board and also keep the program solvent past, let's say, like 2033. Republicans are against that because right now, if you, let's say, for example, if you earn $1 million per year, the top tax bracket right now is 37%. So if they also had to pay into the Social Security Trust Fund, and they're a business owner and they pay the entire 12.4%, that would push their tax bracket all the way up to 50%. They'd be paying taxes on 50% of their income, plus whatever their state is going to be taxing as well, which is a lot of their income would be taxed and going to the federal government, and they are firmly against doing so. So until the two sides can agree to tax the top tax brackets, another 6.2 to 12.4%, it's going to be very hard to find agreement. But in our last story of today's video, we had some new polling come out recently, which suggests that either Biden or Trump is going to win in a landslide. So pretty much, the states that are for sure going to be going to Biden. California, there's no way Trump is going to win. California, it's going to be a very, very easy state for any Democrat to win. And then on the other side of things, like Texas is probably for sure going to be going to Trump. That is a pretty firm red state, just like Florida for sure is going to be going to Trump. What we're really going to be looking at are these swing states. So like Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Those are the swing states that could really go either way on a year-to-year basis. They're going to be very, very close. And we have some new polling coming in from all those states that we're going to be looking at. And right now, if we look up on the screen here, we have new data in here from the Cook Political Report. And we can see that out of all these swing states, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, Trump is winning every single one of those by a pretty large margin. He's winning Nevada by 8 points. He's winning North Carolina by 8 points. Overall, he's winning by 5 points. The only state that is even is Wisconsin. So in a race where it's RFK Jr. included with third-party candidates, Trump does very well. And when it's Biden and Trump head-to-head, he also does very well. And actually, in some cases, he does even better. Like in Nevada, where he wins by 9 points when it's Biden versus Trump head-to-head, whereas he only wins by 8 points whenever you include the third party, which that third party, in that case, would be RFK Jr. So, according to this polling, if this polling is correct, it looks like Trump is going to win in a landslide. And keep in mind, in a lot of the polls in the past, Trump has actually outperformed the polls. So it would have Trump losing by like 5 points, but Trump actually ends up winning, like in the whenever he faced off versus Hillary Clinton in 2016. And then, of course, in 2020, it had him losing to Biden in a much larger margin than what he ended up actually losing by. So if he's winning here, by 5 points on average, could that mean he actually wins by 7 or 8 points on average across the board? And if he wins all these swing states, that's going to result in a landslide victory for Trump. We'll have to wait and see, though. Leave your thoughts and comments below. But that's all we have for today's video. I certainly hope you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate it if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you in the next video.